What's up, baby bards? I'm Ann Richmond, aka Hearth Singer, the head bard in charge around these here parts, and you've made it. You've made it here to Hearth Singer Games. Here on this channel, I make tabletop RPG-focused videos and product reviews. I give my tips for running and playing games like Dungeons & Dragons and Starfinder, and of course, I tell a few stories from my own adventures at the table. Like you've been crying a lot is definitely the look for Strahd. And if you stick around long enough, you might hear me burst into song. And don't you dare look away. 'Cause I need you to know I'm gonna go bag that arc fay. Atlas can rest his weary bones. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world. What would I give? Make that you will hear me burst into song. You might also recognize me from over on Twitch, where I embrace the spirit of adventure. Okay. You know who's not gonna go first? The wizard. Oh God! Terror. The little like thing sticking. Oh my God! There's this lucid right there. Oh God. Oh, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Oh, God! This is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
And aren't you supposed to, like,
you know what?
And shit?
Okay, put your little mouth away. Put your little mouth away! Let the existential dread creep in. What can I say? I'm a girl who wants to decorate her fake world because she has nothing else to live for. Did I say that out loud?
Away we go.
And roll some dice in some tabletop RPG actual plays.
Do you want to be defined as just identifying things all the time?
No.
How's it feel? How's it feel?
Bad. You make me feel bad. I feel bad.
I also like stars.
Stars are
Me too, says Amaruk, and she comes over and like this big wolf just shrinks down into the little like hunchy thing, like how we used to talk to kids at Ren Fair when we get down with them. He's like, me too, and it's just the biggest anime grin and sparkle eyes ever. What kind of stars do you like?
Spark twirls the ends of its whiskers.
Yeah.
All of them.
Me too. Oh my God. All in all, I spend my whole life trying to make a boatload of riveting content for you out there, the baby bards. So if any of that sounds up your alley, subscribe to my channel for weekly videos and new adventures beyond every horizon. Welcome to Hearth Singer Games, where I live my quest life. What's up, hey guys? What is up? It's me, Ann Richmond, aka Hearth Singer, the head bard in charge around these here parts. And today, I am joined by some very special friends. This is the podcast Around the Hearth, where I am joined by my friends to talk about various TTRPG topics in the community, and we tackle a new one every week. And this week in particular, the Week of Love. I am joined by two members of my Curse of Strahd party who are here to get hot and heavy this Valentine's Day with a treat. Because today we are talking about playing D&D with your partner. Let's welcome Kate and Ian. Throw those emotes in chat, everybody. Say hello. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey.
We're so good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad to be on this special date with you today. It just feels so special. So loved.
It's like a
Loves
tandem
Ian.
bicycle with a
A
sidecar.
Valentine's bicycle.
Amazing. Wow, we're already on the hype train, everybody. That's a thing on Twitch. I don't know if you know what that is, Caitlin and Ian. So it's excellent. We've unlocked exclusive emotes in chat. Only the hottest emotes for. This is the weirdest flex that I'm trying to do, and I don't really. Is it working?
Well, I don't know what Twitch is, so you could say anything. I would be impressed.
We were just talking about. I think what it amounts to is a lot of us haven't gotten to be on in a live show together in a while, and it just feels so nice to feel that familiar. Like we're going soft live. We're preparing. Thank you, Five. Like that kind of. It really hits different. But I do want to say. Yeah, Tuck, get real close for smooth jazz. Before we get started in earnest, I do want to thank PJ Lovesauce for those bits and someone else for those bits, and Worlds of Enzo has subscribed now for 3 months. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Caitlin and Ian, you're new here to the Baby Bard community, so I want to hear a little bit more about who you guys are, stuff that you want to share, obviously. Nothing more, because boundaries are important. But tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Oh my gosh.
After you.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh
please.
boy, I was hoping I'd have a buffer. What can I say about myself that I think is worthy of saying? I'm garbage. Talking about myself is like the worst thing in the world. Like unprompted.
I'm sorry. Let's do talking about yourself in relation to maybe the hobby. Like, what's your relationship with D&D?
That's so much easier for me to wrap my head around.
I got you. I'm here to hold you.
Yeah, hold our hands all the way.
So,
yeah.
Supported. So I started playing D&D in college. I was either 19 or 20 at the time. And a friend basically made room for me in a game that already had 6 players in it and made me the 7th player, even though there was no room for me because he knew how bad I wanted to join.
Oh.
I know. Oh my God. And that game went on. That was my first intro. I had no idea what I was doing. We played that game for probably 5 years. We played until the senior class graduated college and the DM graduated. And then from that point forward, we did, I think, 3 or 4 like major reunion weekends where we would meet up Friday to Sunday in one person's apartment and play an entire campaign with our characters as like sequels. Yeah. It was
That's really fun.
It was the best time of my life. And then from there, I got the idea to produce a D&D based improv show called The Campaign, which ran for about a year at the Pit. And Anne, you were actually a part of that show for a time.
It's true. I remember. I was a part. Who knew about that? Listen.
Yeah, when we transitioned the tank, I was lucky enough to have Anne with me. Those are some of my favorite shows.
Yeah, super cool. And Ian, what about you? How did you get started in the hobby?
Well, I met a bunch of friends in high school, and we played D&D in not necessarily the standard way with dice and 5-foot rules and all that. We'd talk it through. So if we were, I don't know, at school and we didn't have the stuff and we had a study hall, we could play around and just describe what we would be able to do based on our stats and that sort of a thing. And so we pretty much did a bunch of group storytelling and verbal storyboarding for movies and stuff for years. All the way up, and we ended up living together in the city with each other, and we played a zombie game based on our neighborhood and what we would do if zombies happened in a D&D game, and we played it twice on a train. And then I ended up seeing her show at one point, and I was riveted by that, and then ended up meeting a couple people, including our current DM for Strahd at that show. And and it's just a great way to imagine with your friends. So
Absolutely.
You just unlocked a memory for me. Do you remember that one time we tried to play a homebrew D&D game with John Charles? I don't know where we were commuting to, but someone was like, you told John Charles about those like verbal storytelling games you would play, and JC was like, let's do one right now.
And we did a science fiction one. It was just on like a 50-minute car ride.
I completely forgot about that until you were talking.
Yeah.
That's the dream, you guys. That's all I ever want, is for someone to remove me from my human body and my existence and take me away to a world of fantasy at any moment. Yeah. That's what I want. How can we in chat find that. No.
You just gotta take more car rides with us, Anne. That's all.
You just gotta take more car rides. Okay, well, we'll get right on that when this, pandemic issue, I mean, is it even is solved. So, that takes me to like life in quarantine in D&D. So how has, I know a little bit, but for people who don't play D&D with you, how does D&D fit into your life in quarantine?
So, at least for me, D&D became a much bigger slice of my quarantine life than I anticipated. We are with this fight group, Art Violenta, which is run by our friends Jacqueline and David. And at the start of quarantine, obviously we were playing Strahd. Jacqueline mentioned that she was looking for someone to DM an Art Violenta D&D game while we were in quarantine. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, maybe I'll have time for that. Like, I have Strahd, I don't want to overcommit. And I wrote, hey, Jacqueline, I might be able to do it. And then an hour or two later, I get a notification on Facebook where Jacqueline wrote, Caitlin has agreed to DM our campaign. I was like, Jacqueline! But I'm happy she did that because I probably would have found like an anxiety-based reason to back out. And I'm really grateful that she was there to push me into DMing because I haven't DM'd in years. I DM'd for a group back in Brooklyn. We only got a couple sessions in before we, ended. Obviously, scheduling happened. So I found myself DMing my first game in a really long time for an amazing group of people. And we're actually 2 months away from our 1-year anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
We basically started in quarantine. So playing twice a week is not something I thought I would have the capacity to do. Mm-hmm. But because I'm home all the time, suddenly I have the capacity because my commute is gone.
Yep. Yeah. It's very true. I feel much the same way. I mean, I always played way too much D&D myself. So I think it's important to have a strong sense of boundaries in general. I mean, in romance and beyond. But because it's important to know like what you can actually commit to and get something out of it, right? Yeah. There's definitely a line there. So let's talk a little bit. I know people had in chat thrown some questions into the Discord for these guys, and we're going to get to those. If you all in the Twitch chat have something that you want to ask Caitlin and Ian about what it's like to play D&D with their partner, or how they navigate different scenarios together, we'd love to hear it. I'm happy to pass it on. PJ Lovesauce, I think, liked Ian's description of just a word story as an RPG, and he says a thespian of the theater of the mind. And it's true, and the thing is, I think you really only need someone who's going to listen to what you're going to say and like agree with you to yes and you to do something like that. You don't need dice, as much as it pains me to say it.
Yeah. Computer programs, dice or boards, those are nice to keep it clear, but it's at the end, it's all theater of the mind.
It's true. So I was gonna ask you who got who into D&D, but you guys came to it from your own individual standpoints, which is awesome. So when did you guys start playing in the same game together?
God, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago?
A little more than that. It was before summer 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. John Charles, again, our friend who is currently our Strahd DM, was really the catalyst. We had all spent a lot of time together working at the Renaissance Fair. Me, him, John Charles carpooled together. And John Charles was also, such a huge supporter of my show, The Campaign. He was at almost every show, and he would send me like heartfelt apologies when he had to work instead of come to the show. Like, he was such a firm believer in my storytelling. And then obviously he met Ian, and we had that little car ride together where Ian did the Theater of the Mind DMing. And I guess just when it came time for JC to decide to run a game, he wanted both of us in it because we had just spent so much time together.
Yeah.
I can't believe really well. I just can't believe it never occurred to us to get a game going before that.
He had the initiative and the gumption to actually force us to do something. It was totally worth it.
Now, as far as our Curse of Strahd game goes, you guys had been playing for how long before I joined in?
Okay.
Probably like a year at least.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I had started my new job, which I started in 2019, which is now my old the summer. So I want to say it was like February 2019 when we started playing.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're actually around the 2-year mark. And I forget, and you came in during the pandemic.
I came in like November before the pandemic. So it was right before. At least that's when we started talking about it, because the way I got in was JC, the sun around which we mere mortals orbit. JC and I were it was JC and Lee and I in the car on the way home from the Ren Fair at one point. And we were talking about the Strahd game and what you guys were doing, and Ian was trying to work through things that he had ideas for that weren't things that would ruin it for Lee. And then I was like, oh man, I'm so jealous. Like I've always wanted to play Strahd. I want to be a part of this. I'm so jelly that you guys are doing it. And then the opportunity came when I was summoned, like Gandalf, when you look to the east, and I got to to ride and be a part of it. But it is definitely a game where there are two sets of couples and then me, which is, you would think it would be weird, but it's actually not. Like, that's never been an issue. And I've been at a lot of tables where I'm the odd and out, so to speak, it can be an issue. It doesn't have to be. And I hope you guys will see more of why that is as we talk to Caitlin and Ian on this special date together. So it's a time-consuming hobby. I think everyone can agree about that. And it does mean that it can creep into your daily life and have an effect at times. Good news asks, my partner was mind-controlled and put me to 0 hit points. My character now distrusts her. Have you all ended up in a situation like that?
Actually,
that bled in.
Actually, my current character got turned into a werewolf, and he actually got control of it for a little bit, and then we encountered Strahd at one point.
And he can't not say something to Strahd.
You had to do it.
Kind of guy, so he mouthed off to him, and Strahd just went, "Oh yeah," and flipped on the werewolf brain, and my team had to put me on unconscious for a little bit.
Yeah. Luckily, though, I play an arcane trickster who has Spare the Dying. So I was basically like hands up, ready to go. Once he hit 0, I like tapped him.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I had 1 hit on someone in the group, and then the rest just sort of pummeled me in the corner.
Yeah. Then I broke out my smite machine.
It was pretty quick.
I was like, sorry.
It was tumbling.
Phrase, like, if I could make t-shirts with Curse of Strahd, one of the shirts I would make is my favorite and quote, I'm gonna throw a smite in.
Pump a smite.
I'm gonna pump a smite in there.
Pump a level 2 smite.
Pump a level 2 smite.
Pump a smite. Why have I never done that before? It's amazing. That's great. And if you guys are curious, on my Patreon, I did kind of like an audio drama of a cool moment from the game where I interacted with both of their characters. Actually, I think everybody is in that at some point. So if you're curious to know more about our Strahd campaign, which has been a total blasty blast, by all means, please go and check out the Patreon. So let's talk about let's see, what is this question? Yeah, when you're at the table, are you aware of the fact that you're playing with your romantic partner in real life? Is that a thing that exists in your mind at all, or are you just your characters?
So I think we definitely have an advantage there because we met doing the Renaissance Fair. Mm-hmm. And for 3 summers, we played characters who were not in love with each other. Specifically, most notably, I feel 2019 when he was Little John and I was Maid Marian. Obviously, I was meant to be in love with Robin Hood. So we just got very good at like compartmentalizing our relationship and separating it from our professional one. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's bled into Strahd pretty well. I look at you a lot as a buddy during that like 4-hour game.
Yeah.
It's actually fascinating how natural it is to switch that off.
Yeah, the characters have developed a relationship that's really kind of almost bro-y.
Yeah.
They punch each other on the shoulder and stuff like, yeah, nice move. But
I also
it's
intentionally created like a character you couldn't romance.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she's a little goblin. You don't have a love story with her. So I think that adds to it too.
yeah.
It's like,
And my character does not want to build any kind of. He did not want to build any kind of relationship with any of the crew.
yeah,
Any of the
yeah,
crew.
yeah.
So the fact that he's got this little goblin monster that walks by, they just sort of fist bump every now and then, and
Yeah.
pretty great.
Now I should say, Kate, you are a cat.
I am.
You're not a goblin.
I know.
You're
Not
just a
goblin.
cat.
Not,
I just
not
want to
an
be very
official
clear.
goblin.
Yeah, goblin-like, perhaps.
yes, goblin in personality.
Yes.
She's just such a piece of trash. She.
Wow, you really love your character. It's really nice to see how much you love her. Okay.
Oh, I mean that in the sweetest, kindest way possible.
Yeah.
I love my little garbage cat character.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We all do. We can't. I think one of the things that's come into kind of focus as we all are actually like right at the end, like so close to the end of our Strahd campaign that we've just been like, maybe we could 100% the map more before we finish, so that this book doesn't have to end. Like that's how close we are to
All the little side quests. We're trying to just wrap them up and see if we can get.
It's true. It's so true. And I feel like, one thing that's kind of crystallized for us is like everybody is asking, what comes next. And it has really turned out to be like a little family where everybody supports each other, even though we definitely don't always agree on everything. Has there been ever a time where something for you guys where you had like an in-character argument, or one of you felt that rules weren't handled as well as they could have been, or wasn't clear? Has that ever bled into your real life, and how did you resolve it?
I honestly can't recall. I think the characters were so different in the beginning, and all of our characters were different. We're different kinds of people and not as closely associated in the beginning, that we all had little, like, I don't know if that was a good idea moments, but to ourselves. We're pretty respectful as a group to acknowledge everybody else's different playing styles. And I can't recall any specific moments where we've butted heads and kept it and then followed off.
It's interesting because our arguments, I always think, are fun. That sounds so odd to say, but we have such a specific dynamic when we're having like an actual disagreement as a couple that is a fight. Yeah. We have such a softer dynamic going through that when we get to argue, I find it really fun. So all of our heightened moments are like, they're just jokes. I don't know, and no one's taking it seriously. So like, when you ask that question, I'm trying to think of it. I can think of a time where I reacted poorly in game, and I spent the rest of the day asking him if I was a bad person for reacting that way. Like, that's the closest to the example I can think of.
And how, like, so when that happens, when somebody needs like aftercare from a game, because I do think that is a thing sometimes, either because somebody's had like a deep emotional experience, or because something didn't go as well as it could have been, just in terms of communication. How do you guys help each other through that and kind of like exit the space of being in that judgmental space that you are entering in the game to afterwards? How do you help each other?
That's actually probably the tensest time for us, because sometimes I just want to shut down emotionally, and I want to be very quiet, and I want to be with myself, and I want to like reflect on the game internally. And you turn that camera off and he's like, I'm pumped up. I am pumped up right now.
You remember that thing we did?
He's like, oh man, when you almost fell off and I caught you midair, I was like, whoa. That's probably the hardest in terms for us to get on the same page.
I get hyped.
We need a very different form of aftercare where Ian wants to verbalize why that game was like so cool or so traumatic. Hits. And I'm like, I want to like boil some tea.
Disassociate.
Yeah, I'm gonna get under the covers for a couple hours.
Be nonverbal. I'm gonna lie down, and I'm like, well, while you're lying down, you remember that part?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. You said you were DMing this game, Caitlin. Is Ian? Are you in that game?
No, I am not.
Okay, so when Kate is DMing, what does it feel like to you to be not in that game? Is that a time you recognize at all as Kate being absent from you, or because a lot of people ask questions about like, man, this takes a lot of time? Like,
we've successfully scheduled it, and we're still actually in the same room, and there are times where we just give each other check-in glances while it's happening. So it's never a moment where I'm feeling ignored or, left behind. I'm often listening to the game and having fun listening to the game because it's a wackier game than I would ever be used to.
And his best friend Alec is actually in the game. So he's the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
I'll ask him to listen in certain points. I'll ask him to give me critique on certain things. And then I barely bring him up. It's his friend Alec going, "Oh, hey, ask Ian about this one time."
Alec was one of the people in high school that we theater of the minded all the time. So the fact that he's now in this hilarious game that they're in is, I don't know, it's nice that I get to hear my friend's voice every now and then and check in.
But you usually you pop on Fortnite and you just kind of chill out for a couple hours.
Fortnite. Anyway.
It feels really good though, because I'm an extraordinarily guilty person with my time and my energy, and I feel like I have to constantly apologize to people for not giving them my time and energy. So to have a partner who is so chill about that, it's really helped me feel comfortable joining the game. I don't feel guilty that I spend my Wednesday nights playing with them because he gives me nothing but reassurance.
We also have a thing that we've, especially during the pandemic, spent a lot of time together, and we've loved every second of it. But one thing that we really like to do is miss each other. And so there's a time when we come back and sort of get back together and we're like, "Oh, hey, good to see you. I missed you earlier." And if we don't ever have that time, I don't know, we have a great time anyway, but it's just a nice extra little thing.
I think boundaries in relationships are so important in a lot of ways, and sometimes that's allowing, you don't have to do everything together. As long as you can appreciate what your partner loves about the time they spent with you or apart from you. I think, at least in my relationships, that's been the most successful thing. And not to be judgmental, but it's my show, so you can come for me, I guess, if you don't like what I'm saying. But I feel like if that is an issue, at the times when I have felt a jealousy, because not even just in romance, a friend is playing a game I wish I was playing, I have to ask myself what that's actually about, because it's not about the game. It's not really about that at all. It's about something much deeper. And again, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not here to psychoanalyze you or the way you're enjoying your games out there in the dark. But I do think that's something to reflect upon and talk about with somebody who is a professional who can help you work through that for sure. Well, let's do something fun. We've been getting too feelingsy, except that I love feelings.
We just have so many of them.
I know. Where do we put them all? I don't know. Is it next to Baby Yoda? Is it next to my T1NY droid? I don't know. I have too many things and too many feelings. Anyways, let's play a little Newlyweds game. Let's do it. I have literally one question for the Newlyweds game, so it's going to be very short.
Great.
So if anyone in chat has questions, D&D or TTRPG related questions that you want to see how well Kate and Ian know each other, now is the time.
Oh boy.
This one question should not be the ultimate judge.
Yeah. The one... Yeah, I'm already coming up with other ones in my mind because now I'm excited about it. And just to show you who Kate is as a person, I was like, we're gonna do Newlyweds game, I guess, and you guys can answer for each other. And she goes, well, shouldn't we have paper? And I was like, I mean, I guess. And she comes back with these giant perfect notepads. So that's the way. That's the way we do it. So if you had to name your partner's favorite class, what do you think it would be? Let's do Ian's favorite class first.
How much time do I have? Oh no.
Well, I don't know, because this is a new thing we're trying. So we'll feel it out. Let me know when you're done.
Okay. I'm done, I hope.
I think I got it right.
Okay. Caitlin.
Mhm.
Sorry, Kate. Reveal. Ranger?
Yeah.
Ian?
I think I got it right.
You.
It's a fighter.
You.
They both fight. I don't know.
All right. Well, now you have to move out. So next question is, let's do for Kate now. So Kate, what is your favorite class? And for Ian, what do you think Kate's favorite class is? Yeah, that's right. Really hide from each other. Yeah, they were being all nice about how they have a good, trusting relationship. We're here to break that, chat. We're here to destroy them on Valentine's Day. No, I'm kidding. All right. Reveal.
Wizard.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you don't have to move out. It's fine. We'll go back. PJ. Oh, go ahead. Say that one more time.
I'm so sorry. I just don't know how to lose, so I'm very upset right now.
You didn't lose.
Well,
We haven't lost.
you're it's fine. We're all just existing. Who's winning? Who's losing? You can't win D&D. You can't win the Newlyweds game. I mean, I guess you can, but it's not important.
I don't know.
What's important?
There were winners of that game.
That's what my therapist said. Well, we can't trust her either, so.
So, in an evil campaign, asks PJ Lovesauce, the best class to play would be. Let's see if you guys match up.
Oh, wait, are we doing writing?
Oh yeah, let's pick let's do the same thing we did before. So Ian's best class to play would be in an evil campaign.
An evil campaign.
I can't think of any
Yeah, evil classes.
Oh.
Could you name?
Or like an evil archetype. Like, do you want to be a lich? Do you want to be a bad boy spiky knight? It can be a general archetype. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, right? Like if Ian was the BBEG,
right?
Ian would be every Run Fair character he's ever played.
Including Little Bit.
Right, I'm
yeah.
just trying to think of how to phrase it. I think I got it.
All right. Kate, what do you have?
Dark Knight.
Stone Giants. I don't know.
So close. I mean, they're both Lorge. They're both
Lord.
Yeah, they're both Lorg boys. Okay, let's do the same thing, but for Kate, and then we have a question from Octopus Pie. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. If Kate was the BBEG, she would be BEG. What's the matter with me?
What's it called?
I can't tell you.
Can't remember what it's called. I'm just gonna say it because it's a lot.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, say what you think Kate would be.
Anything from the Underdark.
Necromancer.
So close. It's it's fine. It's so close. It's funny because when you turn it around, it was just Ranger crossed out. So I was like,
Ranger.
Someone who used to be a Ranger? I don't know. Take this in. Okay. Favorite cantrip. Let's just go on to actual questions instead of newlywed game questions.
Okay.
Yeah, actual questions. Favorite cantrip.
Firebolt.
It's funny because I don't use cantrips and never have, but I was going to say Firebolt because she uses it all the time, and it's awesome.
It's pretty sick. It is one of those that grows with you. For me, I think it's Eldritch Blast. And PJ Lovesauce says Bard is the correct answer. Villains always have the best songs in musicals, especially when they're Regina George in Mean Girls. And that is what I have to say about that. And we're going to move on. So let's move on to some other questions. Excellent job at the Newlyweds game. You both win. May flowers rain upon you delicately in victory. Does your partner have a D&D trope? Is there like some element of the characters that they choose to play that you think kind of connects a lot of characters they play?
Yes. Okay. Do you mind if I go first?
Go for it.
So, when I met Ian, the way he presented himself to me was, I'm a tough egg to crack. And what I saw immediately was an egg desperate to be cracked open by somebody who cared. And I think that trait follows through with especially his Strahd D&D character. He very much loves to play the loner bad boy types, the dark past that you just wouldn't understand. But would you ask me about it? But don't ask me about it.
That's true.
I think that is the type that
I am the knight.
Yeah.
He's
I'm Batman.
He's a dirty Bruce Wayne. He just
so
lives
dirty.
in the outdoors, so he's just filthy all the time.
So filthy. Incredible. And Ian, what do you think about Kate as a trope?
There's a certain pattern of speech that she'll choose sometimes where I have 5 sentences and they're coming out, whether you interrupt me or not. I'm going to say a lot of things about how I'm currently feeling. And it's great, especially in her Strahd character, who's
to be understood.
Yeah, she's feisty little cat who grew up richer than everyone else and expects her voice to be heard all the time. And
I would say explosive. I mean, I'm not your partner, but somebody who like finally breaks and is like, I just have to tell you what I actually think about you.
She's got to get it out.
I've been keeping a notebook on all of my thoughts about you for years, and now I'm finally going to read it starting at page 1. Chapter 1, I liked you at first. Chapter 2, I immediately have some opinions on you.
And I've noticed that some of the characters you've DM'd as have a similar speech pattern, which is perfect for those characters in particular. Some are a lot more like mellowed out or just sinister. And then there's some who are like, you have to hear what I have to say. You have to hear it, and it's coming out no matter what.
You're talking about Parsley.
Parsley is ridiculous.
She's the gnome.
The plant?
She's a gnome businesswoman with a mop of green hair upon her head and a bun. And when the party met her, she was running a pub called Bibble and Sip in a town only filled with elves and humans who refused to come to her gnome inn. And she, I don't know, she was just so like, she had so many thoughts and nobody would listen. So once the party walked in, she was like, oh my God, now I can tell you all my opinions. And you're right, I do speak explosively.
It's explosively. And it's perfect in all of these characters because you're getting a lot of information with character development in a short amount of time. So people aren't like, well, when's my turn to speak? They're like, oh, okay, I am totally caught up.
Ageless Fate says, my significant other would say about me, yes, multiple personalities with chaotic alignment. And you know what? That's sometimes you just gotta let it out. Ageless Fate. And PJ Love Sauce wants to know, any house rules that you guys love to use?
It's funny because I have so many because I run my own homebrew campaign, and now that you're asking, I've gone completely blank.
It's totally fine. We can come back to it. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Anne, please. You're fine.
I think what do we do in Strahd that's homebrew? I'm trying to think. Is there anything?
Well, we do the crit thing, which I really like.
Right. Oh yeah, tell us about that.
So if you, in an attack roll, if you hit a natural 20, you also roll a d10, and there's a list with that d10, and each number has a different benefit. So you could hit them, like roll a natural 20 and maybe knock the weapon out of their hand.
Yeah, or hit them twice, do
hit
double
them
damage.
Twice. Yeah, you can get an extra attack roll.
It's a way to celebrate the big critical wins, and then also it's the same for the critical failures.
Yeah.
One, you roll a d10 and it's full of bad stuff.
Yeah, if it's not like a 7 or something, everything you're gonna do, or like the next defense or
they get advantage on you.
Yeah, they get advantage on you, or you fail, or you have disadvantage on your saves or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's this really lovely little extra or negative And
Yeah,
totally.
Critical feel like an event.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's a lot of people like describe that stuff, but it's nice to, as Ageless Fate said, create some chaos and not know how something is mechanically going to change the structure. Yeah. So, Worlds of Enzo. What's up, Enzo? How are you doing? Friend of the show, Worlds of Enzo. How do you guys handle character death? Have you ever had to DM and wind up with your partner's character in your hands?
Thankfully, no.
Thankfully, not yet. We've had other people do that.
It was me. I died.
She died.
It was me, yeah.
Oh, but actually,
that was really a crazy time, though.
And I was going to say that kind of is the perfect way to talk about this question, because that was a time where Anne was in danger. I jumped in and put myself in way over my head, and then Ian jumped in to save me. So that was a time where I feel the three of us had each other's lives in our hands in this really intimate, awful way. It was one of the heaviest games I've ever played, and I think we went straight onto a birthday party Zoom call after that game.
Yeah, it was really rough. Yeah, we went. It was Emily's here last week. It was Emily's birthday, and they were like, "Hey guys, thanks for coming." We were like, "Sorry, we're late. We're fine."
Heavy. We're wiping away tears.
That was a moment where I really felt like my player's character was in Ian's hands, because it was. Yeah. And what was the monster you were fighting?
I was fighting it was like an avatar of death or something. Basically, for anybody who doesn't know, it's like a kind of like ghostly being that once it chooses you to fight, it will only focus on you, and if anybody steps in to help you fight it, then it will spawn one for them, and then they have to fight it, and if it reduces you to 0 hit points, you are dead. There is no death save.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So Anne was about to die, and I said out loud, I'm gonna do something stupid, and I jumped in front of the attack, and I took the points for her. But I didn't know what was going to happen, because it was the first time I encountered one of those things. So mine spawned. But at that point, I wasn't super strong on attacks or good at taking hits, because I was rogue wizard dual classing. And so my level up was like a few levels behind you guys for a while.
Yeah.
And I was getting my ass kicked, and I was only able to stay alive because I was so good at hiding from it every round, but it was encroaching. So Ian said, "That's it, I'm jumping in." Hit mine, took out his, and then took out mine.
I think I also picked her up by like the cat scruff and hucked her across the room out of danger. I've actually picked you up a couple times now.
You have.
Yeah.
Cat, you just grab it like this.
It's hard. I think, when you have one thing I want to like kind of dive into, in my opinion here, is that just because people are together and they're playing in the same game doesn't mean that their characters can't have deep friendships or deep feelings for other people at the table. And I think, when Kate decided that her character was going to step in and try and like save Irina in this crazy moment, it like connected our characters in a way that like they grew together in that moment. And my character is often the frontline fighter, so she with her pump a jam attitude as a paladin, and so that was the first time that like she got to see somebody try to save her, which was really cool. And again, I've played with other people at the table where they're really only interested as a couple in doing special things for each other, and it's not great. Like, and I told Kate and Ian before we started that I have like a couple of thoughts about being the odd Ann out at the table. And this is one of them, is that if you're in a couple and you want to make other people feel like it's a good time to play with you, then make sure you're just as interested in creating awesome stuff and awesome feelings for them, feelings of friendship, or surprising them with something, or razzing them. Like, make sure it's, different, a little from column A, column B, that you're doing it with everybody, because then people stop seeing you guys as partners. They see you as other players at the table, and it can kind of reduce that stigma that sometimes couples get when they're playing D&D or other TTRPGs together. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I agree.
Yeah,
and I'm really
100%.
happy you brought that up because I do feel like my character's strongest relationship is Irina.
I agree. Oh no.
Oh no.
I just like there's so many feelings like Kate had about the way Irina is treated in Strahd, about like her being this object for other people to put their emotions on, and like all of her past lives are her burden to make sure the people in her past still feel good. And it's and I was getting angry because I was like, that's not her. She doesn't have to be Tatiana for you. She doesn't have to be this for you. Like, and I was like, well, what am I doing with this energy internally? Why am I not just expressing this and making it part of my character? It's such a natural choice to make, and it's engaging me more in the RP, because for a while I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, you know? I wasn't sure exactly what aspects I wanted to bring to my character development. And it was that moment of jumping in front of you. I don't think we'd had a lot of like intense moments before that. It was a lot of like you would give my cat scritches.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Who doesn't want that? That's
it's just a thing. Also, I do have to say, ZR50, thank you for that follow. Welcome to the Baby Bards. Continue, Kate. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm so happy you got another follower. But yeah, that was definitely a turning point for my character. And it's funny because when I think about my character's relationship to his, it's very much like a, hey buddy, okay, cool, I'm back over here now.
Yeah. We also, I think, did a really good thing in our original character creation, where we made, like, first off, you're a cat, and I was just a normal ranger. So that already makes a nice, interesting split. But we also gave, like,
I'm sorry.
I know.
I have to go back because we've just described this incredible, like, I'm a rogue wizard and I leapt in front of Irina, but it's just a like it's just
And as my character hides, I describe her like jumping from tree to tree in the middle of the night, going across the moonlit sky.
It's so good.
And just goes,
it's so good.
And we'll just pop in and go, meow.
I just have to. It just because it's easy to forget. Sometimes, okay, this is a lot. Sometimes when I'm at a table with people, I feel like I'm seeing the essence of their character and not the character itself in my mind. And that's what happens with Bluebell a lot. At our game is like I am speaking to essence of Bluebell, like it's like a color or a shape in my mind, but it's not always visualized or contextualized in like a literal sense. But then every once in a while I'll be like, she's just a cat, then that's when I have to go and it's very important that we remember these things, but we don't think too hard about weapons and how they're held. It's just not important. It's just not. Now Risa is here, and I just wanted to say hello, Risa.
Risa.
We love you. Yeah, she here. If you guys have any more questions for Kate and Ian, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm happy to pass them along on this special Valentine's Day edition of Around the Hearth.
We're here.
This is a tricycle.
It's at the tricycle. Oh my goodness. Okay, my partner is not into TTRPGs at all. Any advice to alleviate jealousy and guilt when I disappear on Wednesday nights? Says Octopus Pie.
I would actually say that before or after, maybe talk strategy of what your character could do, so that maybe they feel a bit more a part of it. When you're DMing, occasionally you'll run ideas past me and we'll like brainstorm a concept together. And if the person's not DMing, they could brainstorm a cool combination of moves that at some point they could use, and maybe report back in and say, that totally worked, or that totally failed. We got to come up with something new. I think inviting them in, even just partially, and then going into the game, I feel that, talking about it's fun. You don't have to be into the game itself to appreciate the creativity involved in some of the parts of the game.
Yeah, and
I think maybe one thing I've learned, especially DMing and having him being so supportive, is that I don't have to be in charge of my partner's good time. You know, I take a lot of that burden on for myself. I plan the menu for the week. I do most of the cooking. I try and do a lot of the cleaning. I don't let him help because I feel like I have to care for him. I have to be the caregiver. And one thing I learned playing this game is that I don't have to do that. So there is a certain point where there are very lovely things you can do for your partner, you know, to make them feel involved, to ease them into the concept. But I do think there's a hard line where it stops being your problem. And if your partner loves and cares for you, they will find a way to work through that jealousy and that missing you and those negative feelings. And I don't want to assume that the feelings are negative. This is a broad umbrella I'm throwing over the concept, but I don't think it's all on the person playing the game. I think it's on the person who wants their partner to have a good time in a game.
Yeah, I think this goes back to something we were talking about earlier, is that, and this is a little bit judgy from me, so I recognize that, but I think don't, like Kate said, don't take on responsibility for the time that they don't spend with you. If you're making the time you do spend together joyful, then you know that's really important. It would be to me as a partner, I could say. And I don't want my partner not to have a good time, even if it's not with me. This is sounding like a conversation about something else, but it's not in this case. I don't want my partner to feel like they can't enjoy social scenarios that I'm not a part of. And if that is a conversation that you guys are happening, I think it's probably indicative of a broader conversation. And I think it's so awesome that you're already looking at like how you can make your partner comfortable. And I think that's, you know, the right mentality to be in, but don't take it onto yourself so completely that for 4 hours on a Wednesday that you can't, you know, make some other people feel good, joyful feelings and storytelling.
Sometimes all those, I'm sorry to interrupt.
You first.
Because sometimes all that partner needs is to know that like they have permission to be happy without you.
Yeah, totally. You said what I said, but in way less words. Award of the day to Kate. Risa says, I loved the Newlywed Game, and I appreciate that. Now, we were talking about your desire to be a caregiver, Kate. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about your penchant for epic cheese plates. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could sort of plan a date for all of us? Let's, you know, enter our mind palaces. And Caitlin, tell us what it would be like if we were to come over for an afternoon of Dungeons and Dragons at the Ian and Kate house.
Lucky for you, we have this counter.
I present to you.
It is a kitchen island that we can fit up to 8 chairs around. So here's what we do, right? JC sits at the head all by himself.
Ooh,
DM screen up.
Who needs him?
We all sit around the table. The menu, tailored to perfection and D&D themed. This is post-pandemic, you know, this is a world where we're comfortable touching things, but we do a grazing board, right? It's a long wooden plank. I do cheeses and cheese adjacent foods based on all of our characters. So far what I have right now, blue cheese for Bluebell. I'll work on the rest.
Makes sense. Right.
I'm thinking like an herbed goat cheese for his character because he's a ranger.
I would have to be Swiss because it's holy.
Oh. Or I do like a French onion soup as an
appetizer. Yes!
Because I
read me that Gruyere.
Because I read a French accent. And thanks to the pandemic, I have started making my own French onion soup from scratch, so.
To Irene, it's just onion soup.
It's just onion soup. That's so good.
But I am dorky enough to buy like goblets so that we could all drink from goblets. And I have one. I imagine like ripping loaves of bread with our hands. And then I would finish with a Bilbo Baggins inspired seed cake.
You recently mastered it. It's amazing.
That was even more than I thought I was bargaining for.
Oh,
man, I love that before the pandemic, we fantasized about going on epic adventures together and still do, right? But now Our greatest fantasy
Having
is a dinner party.
It's just entertaining at home for an afternoon.
Just having a couple of friends over and taking an Uber.
Yeah.
It's
you
this
know?
luxury that
Yeah.
we can't even put into words right now.
But I
Just
I
roll for cheese initiative.
I love hosting and I loved themed parties. My D&D group that I DM for, they want to do like a weekend in a cabin. And
Yes.
I am in charge of like the drink menu and the food menu, and I've promised them a mimosa bar.
Oh yeah.
There's like health potion drinks you can make on TikTok.
I'm using the parsley
Like-
special.
Oh, the parsley.
It's
It's
honestly,
drink. It's not a good
You
drink.
can make it.
Herbs. It's fermented herbs.
Air D&D is the best. I did it.
Yeah.
I did it for somebody's birthday one year, and I created like I was like you, Kate. I was in charge of creating the adventure and the vibe, and we found a cabin in like we wanted winter in the woods kind of theme, and we went up there, and it was actually almost snowing. So we were up there almost in a blizzard, but it was so beautiful because we had the mountains and the trees, and we like live in an urban environment typically, and so it was just really nice to get away and tell a story about the deep midwinter. And it was actually the same one shot I ran for you guys, so you were familiar with what the story was.
Which was super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
the
really-
changeling
That was
baby.
a really great day.
That was great.
Good times.
Yeah, really.
It was super fun. But yeah, so I love that idea. And Worlds of Enzo points out, and I just want to big ups this, the Heroes Feast D&D book is fantastic.
Ooh.
Okay.
You don't.
Don't get it. I'm going to get it for you. I'm going to get it for you guys to thank you for coming on the show. We'll do it right after.
Man, don't you?
Yeah.
Tell you.
No, I'm doing it because you see how I benefit.
That's true.
It's true.
It's what I say
I'm
all
not
the
gonna
time.
make this stuff. Like
It's what I say all the time is like, maybe I'll go shopping because at the end of the day, you're going to have made this amazing thing and it's the least I can do.
Exactly. No, it's gonna happen. I'm very excited about it. You are the perfect person for this.
Oh my god.
Okay, so now I can check off my cheese plate question.
Oh,
Which before the show, when I was telling them what I was gonna ask them about, I just said I wrote you make epic cheese plates, and then I didn't write anything else
that was it.
because it's all I could think about.
That's all I can think about.
I know, and you lucky bastard, you're there with her right now.
No, and we just do cheese plates randomly. It's really wonderful.
Man, it's so good. Now, has sharing this is kind of to round it out. Has sharing this game taught you things about your partner that you didn't know? How has it strengthened your romantic and platonic bond?
Well, the platonic bond I would actually say has carried with this game through the roles we've done at other shows, where we're really good at playing either buddies, enemies, or best friends. But we've never had to play a romantic interest directly, and so we're in the zone to do that because our romantic life is so like lovely and wonderful that it's
so
fun
separate from our character life.
that it's fun to play buddies. It's actually a luxury to just be pals for like a couple hours, and then afterwards we snuggle up and watch TV and hang out and decompress. So it's a really nice, I don't know, it's another one of those times where we're allowed to miss each other in that way, but we get to still be around each other and hang out in a totally different type of relationship. It's cool.
And as far as what I've learned about Ian, I learned just how much he loves to antagonize. Any opportunity he gets to make fun of Strad von Zarovich to his face.
That snobby
The amount of times I turn to him, and these are the moments when I break character, when I turn to him, I'm like, are you really, in this moment, going to call him a loser?
And I have to.
That's the thing.
I can't not do it.
Character driven, I gotta do it.
But it's also Ian driven because he feels good about it.
I do.
And after the game, when the camera goes off, when he's in pump up mode, he'll leave.
Like,
He'll go.
you hear what I said to him?
He'll go into the bedroom and he re-enters and he announces his entrance by saying, "Man," and he stands there and he wants me to acknowledge him.
Hands on hips sometimes.
So I say yes, and he goes, really proud of myself for saying that to Strahd today. He cannot take authority that he does not respect.
It's true. In real life or in the game.
It's so funny that that's true because we finish a game and I literally stare into the middle distance and go, what is my fate? Like, that is how I feel when we finish a game. And I'm like, what am I going to do when I save the world and have more responsibility? So we're just different people with different archetypes to play in this incredible little family, which is amazing.
So imagine trying to have that moment for yourself, and then someone walks in the room and goes, man, remember what I called Strahd von Zarovich's skirt stupid?
Yeah. I feel like in this strange tricycle trifecta of Valentine's D&D Day, that Kate and I, were we to be in the same room, would be the tea-drinking ponderers, quietly nodding appreciatively to each other from the other side of the room, and we'd have to get Ian a dog.
I'd be outside climbing a tree or something. Like, I'll take my tea up here.
We get you some little wolf ears, and you can go howl it out, buddy. Howl it out.
Sometimes it's gotta move, you know.
It's an excellent Ian impression, though. Risa pointed out that this was a perfect Ian impression, and it is. Good. It really is.
Very
Ian,
good.
when he's right, he puts his hand up like this, and he says, "What is the phrase I use all the time for you?" I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
It's very true.
And then it's here.
He wants you to know exactly how he feels about this. He's not getting angry.
It's join me right here because I'm having this level conversation with you. I'm not up here. I'm right down here. You see?
Yeah, it's true. Now, have you guys dungeon mastered for the other person, or do you guys typically play play with each other?
Well, there was that one-off that we played with our current DM in the car,
and you were DMing
where I was DMing that one, and I do wish we had continued that one because there was a lot of world building that I kind of was off the cuff making up, and it was going to be a really cool place.
Bug, if you want to be around. I'm sorry. Our cat is desperate for attention, but she doesn't want to be she's anywhere like near the people who are talking.
She's like a shark circling our boat right now.
Well, I mean, it's important. It's important. What's up, little bitty monster? Welcome to stream. Well, guys, this has been such a great, fun conversation. I hope everybody who has made it to the stream has gotten to enjoy our new little romantic overlay. And of course, you can see Kate's awesome handle for TikTok, which you should go and follow. And I of course want to thank you guys so much for joining me and for sharing a little bit of yourselves and your story with the baby bards. But I also want to hear where they can find your content, Kate, and what it's about.
Yeah, so find me on TikTok. It's SOWA jelly BEEN, sour jelly bean. But I can never find that handle, so I have to misspell it in order to have it. I do a variety of things. I do D&D TikToks. I do Renaissance Fair content. I do fight choreography content. Obviously, lately in the pandemic, there's been a limit to what I can do with that stuff. You can also find me on Instagram at the same handle. We have an announcement coming up that we're not allowed to talk about yet about future performance opportunities where you can see us.
Yeah.
And once we are able to present it, as long as everything works out, you can find the information for that on Instagram. I'm sure I'll be making a post about it on TikTok.
Yeah.
I know you don't really have a public online presence, so I don't want to plug anything for you.
Nothing to plug.
Ian is here, and this is the most public he's ever been.
You may see me in certain places, like her TikToks.
Yeah,
That's
but
very
overall,
true.
he's like, please don't perceive me.
Yeah, don't look over here. I'm a tough egg to crack.
Tough egg to
crack
me.
Patch and Sniff, I think I know who that is.
No.
He says, show the cat.
She ran.
Go grab her.
Yeah. Oh, I see how it is.
Oh, she's
when Patchin wants you to see the cat, then we make an effort.
Very gone.
Okay. Oh, Matt said, Matt Will Jackson has said, have you ever had a situation where both as players, one of you had a romantic interest who's not your partner? I think we covered that because oh no, Did you? Oh, tell me more. Tell me everything.
Before you were in the game, he and Irina were about to get it on.
Oh yeah, Irina was. Yeah.
I never knew.
Well, John Charles was playing her like this. And he would have conversations with John Charles literally across the table where she was like, I'm just so nervous about Strahd Zarovich.
Like, don't worry about it. I got you.
And then she was like, I'm so sorry.
And then she'd shove me out of the way to
got a
go
cold.
fight a thing. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, she's fine. Never mind. We're good. I think she's more interested in the cat.
I'm pretty great. And I was even better before I was me. Yeah, so I joined the game, after about, you guys have been playing it for a year. So Irina already existed, and I took her on as a PC later, which the chat has received many updates about.
She was the NPC following our campaign around.
And it was, I think, easier to have a romance plot when she was more of a passive character. And then I don't want to speak for you, but I know when you took over, that dynamic changed.
Yeah.
It was also a half joke, like,
It was not a
because it was also JC.
No, he would be in the cab. He would be in the cab looking at his phone,
almost,
being pumped up. He had nowhere to go.
Hey, you remember when I did this?
Like, I think Bor and Irina are gonna fall for each other. I think, like.
I think it's gonna happen.
Well,
and that.
I mean, you got to hear JC. JC's voice as Irina was.
He is committed, you guys. He is a committed.
You weren't there for the day where we met the head of the Vistani. What is her name?
Madam Ava.
Madam Ava.
I almost said Mary Magdalene. It's Madam Ava. No, it's Madam Ava. What on a beat?
When we met Madam Ava for the first time, John Charles said, "Hold on." He turned off all the lights. He lit candles, and he put a scarf over his head.
Babush.
I know. Oh my god.
He made us pick cards, and I was shrieking. Anne, I was like, "This is the best night of my life."
Jeez.
Live theater in the flesh.
It was.
It's so good.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I do want to tell you guys that if you're interested in hearing more about romantic roleplay in D&D or other tabletop RPGs, I'm going to throw my YouTube channel in chat because I just put out a new video on Wednesday called Adding Romance to Your TTRPG. And it's all tips for that. And I think it's great. And I am really proud of it. And I would love to have you guys get in on the conversation. So if you're not following me there, head on over, do me a little subscribe and hang out there because it's definitely fun. And if short form stuff is easier for you, I take a lot of stuff that we talk about on this more lengthy style of content, and I distill it down into a little alcoholic. It's not alcoholic. I think I've said my piece on it. You should go to YouTube and follow me there. Okay, so with that being said, if you are new here, I do want to say that my patrons receive exclusive access to the audio version of this show. So Around the Hearth is actually something that was started that was just me talking to myself in a room for about 6 months, where I would do a weekly show where I'd come up with a topic and then just talk about it to my patrons, only audio form. And they liked it so much that I thought it was worth turning into an actual thing that lives on Twitch and people can watch. But they are now the only people who get access to the audio-only version of the show. So if listening is more your speed, the Patreon community might have some things that are fun for you to check out. It offers other boons like weekly meetups, monthly meetups, not weekly, that'd be insane. Monthly meetups with the community on Discord, early access to the weekly YouTube videos that I do, unique magical items that I create and design for Dungeons and Dragons, signups for RPG one-shots dungeon mastered by me. The list goes on, guys. It's just a great place to be. So go check it out, patreon.com/Hearthsinger Games. You gotta dab because the kids are
dab, I guess.
This is why call me Twitch. It's happening here. It's so romantic. I am the perfect example of a date-worthy individual. And that's it, guys. That's how we're gonna end the show. We are going to tell Caitlin and Ian, of course, once again, thank you so much for joining us. If you have anything you want to follow up with them, go ahead, find Kate on TikTok. You can see it on the screen right there. We are going to find somebody that we can rate and pass this choo-choo love train along. That's weird that I said it like that. It's fine. We're a little awkward in our romantic ways.
I dig it.
I could watch you vamp forever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have been watching you vamp for 4 years.
At least 10 minutes. So please join me in passing the bardic inspiration along. I love you all out there in chat so much, and on the Patreon. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Get out there and live your quest life. All right, guys, let's raid.